Good morning, Fresh Winds, and good morning, all of our friends and those who are joining us for our Sunday morning table talk, January the 10th, 2021. Already we are into the second week of this year, and we are looking for God to direct us and to give us so much more than just giving us an existence. We're looking for God to prosper us. And this prosperity is not so much that we want all of the money and the fame. We want to be prosperous in doing the work of God and serving God and following the plan that He has for us. I thank God for my wife and for my family, and I'm sure that you thank God for those that God has put in your life. And we will continue to strive to stand close in unity and harmony and be the people, be the families of God that He has so desired for us to be. As we look at table talk, we ask that you will gather with your family on Sunday morning and do a family worship. A family worship. This is a time and a day that God is saying that it's good for us to come to church, but it's even better when He lives in your home. If you come to my house, on my door, when you first come in, there's a sign that says, "As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord." That's the focus for me and my wife. Our children are grown and gone, and we have grandchildren that's getting up in age, but they too have joined in the same conviction that God is first in their life and in their home. And I thank God for that. So let's worship. Let's worship. Last couple of Sundays, we've been looking at topics that will help us to get started in this year. And the scripture that we're going to draw from today is from Exodus, the 13th chapter, the 17th through the 18th verse. There, God has prepared everything for the children of Israel to leave. They've gotten out of Egypt, and they are going toward the path toward the promised land. God has promised them a land flowing with milk and honey. Over 1 million people left Egypt. They are prepared to go, and one of the things that God sometimes does is give us challenges that we don't understand and we don't quite agree with. But God has a plan that's greater than ours. Instead of God taking them the shortcut to the promised land, He took them the long way. He took them the long way. He took them through the land of the desert, across the Red Sea and into the desert. And you wonder, now, why would God do that? You know, as we look at our lives, I believe all of us have a story. And our story really doesn't start with when we were born and the things that we're going through right now. That's not just our story. If you cannot take at least 2 or 3, if not 4 or 5 generations and include your life in the story of your great-grandparents, you really don't know all of your story. So therefore, you have to go back and see what God has done in times past to see where you are right now. Sometimes it takes generations and generations for us to see the goodness of life. We don't stand right now. Many of us are standing on the shoulders of sharecroppers, slaves, those that have really worked the trenches. And now we can just, based in the glory, that fact that we have degrees, we have homes, we have cars, we have so much that we give away, so much. We have more money that we throw away on meals than they had that they could make in a lifetime. And you have to say, well, why did God take our parents through the long way? Well, God has a reason. God has a reason. And now we are looking at the people of God, the Israelites that are getting ready to leave, but God is not taking them the shortcut. He's taking them the long way. The long way. God has a reason. Well, if you look at verses 17 through 18, and I'm just going for the for the help of me, I'm going to just read. It says, when Pharaoh let the people of Israel go, God did not lead them on the road through the Philistine country, though that was shorter. For God says if they face war, they might change their minds and return to Egypt. So God led the people around by the desert road toward the Red Sea. The Israelites went up out of Egypt ready for battle. God has a reason. God has a reason. And we have, as a people, have to just continue to express our desire to do God's will, to follow God's. You might not know right now, but God has a reason. I've had too many experiences in my life when I could see the goal and the shortcut, but instead of going that way, God led me through a longer path. For Israel, the longer path was so that they would not hit even a harder path, even though it was shorter. If they had gone to war at that point with the Philistines, God knew that they would have been rejected, dejected. They would have been so harmed that they would say they would prefer to be slaves in Egypt. That was not God's destiny for the Israelites. Just know that God knows you better than you know yourself. God has a greater purpose in you many times than you can even see. So when you're going through your hard times, as long as you're saying, not my will, but thine will be done, continue to go according to the will that God has for you. You'll struggle. You'll struggle. Even though they went the long way, they truly had struggles. But God knew that if they turned back, if they had gone the way, they would not have only been struggling, but they would also felt hopeless. God's people have hope. We thank God for Jesus, because even though his death meant that it seemed like it meant an end, no, his death meant that we had hope. We had a life beyond the things that death could afford us. And he came with that love for us, that while we were even yet sinners, he died. So we thanking God that we're going to take the long way around. God is going to take us through some things. We all have a story, and we're going to have to put it on the backs of Jesus Christ. If Jesus Christ had to go the long way to the cross, we too are going to have to go the long way. But eventually, our goal is going to be heaven. It's going to be destiny. It's going to be one with God. That's where we're going. God bless you. I look forward to more conversations at the table. And we're looking for God to bless you as you enter further into 2021. God be with you. See you next week.